I'm just overwhelmed. I am so glad to see so many familiar faces. I mean, this is just wonderful, because all of this is due to everybody here, and what we're doing. I wanted to say a couple words just about what we do, because I started thinking about that. I mean, I've been wrestling with that since ACES Connection started in 2012, is that how do we describe ourselves? What do we do? Martha Davis knows how I wrestled with that in the proposals to RWJF. How do we describe what we do? So one of our team members, Natalie Audage, suggested that we look at a TED Talk by Simon Sinek. I'm not sure I'm saying his name right, but so I did. And it was amazing, because I realized that that what he was offering was a way to, beyond mission, vision, and value statements, to really get at the heart of what we're doing. So he calls it the golden circle, and there's an outer circle of the what, then there's the how, and further in, at the very center is the why, and the stuff that gets you up in the morning, the reason that all of you are here. So I thought I'd do an exercise and apply this to ACES Connection, and see what you all think about it. So at the center is the why, and the why, I think, is that we believe with this new and amazing knowledge that we humans can finally and truly heal ourselves, our organizations, and our systems. We can really and truly solve our most intractable problems, no doubt about it. We don't have to have war or poverty or abuse or any of that with this new knowledge. So how do we do this? So we at ACES Connection don't give people a formula on how to do it, or you should do things this way or that way. We build a structure, or have built a structure, ACES Connection, and we develop a strategy to get this new knowledge out to people and organizations to unite us in our why. And third, the what. So what do? We tell stories about what you're doing, as I did with Jim Sporleder, you pioneers on this Zoom call, and connect everybody so that you all know where each other are, so you feel like you're not alone, and so you can work together. And we also develop some really powerful tools. But most important, we give all of you whatever you want or need so that you can keep doing this for yourselves and for your community and for others. It's like a multiplier effect. It started just with me, but now there's more than 50,000 of you. And it's not that ACES Connection is creating people who are doing this, but if we're giving you information, then you can say, aha, this makes a difference in my life, and now I'm going to make a difference in other people's lives, which you all have. I mean, look at this power of these 50,000, more than 50,000 people who are here and in this organization, and the 130 of you now who are on this call. So I thank you all from the bottom of my heart in coming along with me on this journey where I started and I didn't know what I was doing, and to helping create a place where we all share and help each other to do this why that we're so passionate about. So with that, and if you all have any other ideas about the why and the how and the what, I'd love to hear them. So without further ado, I'm going to thank the staff of ACES Connection for coming along with me on this journey. I mean, you all had to put your faith in me, because I'm not sure that I could describe what we were doing, but among all of us, we kind of figured it out together, and we're still figuring it out together. So, heartthrob to all of you. None of this would have been possible without you. The donors are same thing. I mean, are here because they believe in us and what we're doing. And so that's Robert Wood Johnson, the California Endowment, Genentech, the Lisa Stone Pritzker Family Fund, the George Sarlo Foundation, St. David's Foundation, and Cambia Health Foundation, and Blue Shield of California Foundation. We are able to do what we're doing for this growing and amazing community because you believe in us, and we appreciate that. I also want to thank everybody who's on this call today. I mean, it warms all of our hearts to see you here, and we want to hear a little bit more from you, and we will hear shortly. So 2 weeks ago, we hit the 50,000 mark, and we were watching all day to see who would be that 50,000th person. And it was Anne, but we're going to have Anne unmute and tell us how to say your last name, Anne.
I just suggested that you unmute,
Yeah,
and you have to, there you go.
It's Anne Borowick, but for people of Polish heritage, they'll know that that's not really the right way to say it, but that's how I say it.
Borowick, nice to have you here with us. Now, Anne, we were over the moon when we hit 50,000, and then we let you know and said, did you know? And you told a little story. So why don't you tell a story about how that was sort of serendipitous?
Well, I tried to register once and I had technology problems and got frustrated and didn't finish. So then when I watched a couple emails go by and then finally did it again, and I'm sure it was my fault on my side, but then so I finally got through. So persistence pays off.
And persistence paid off, so you became number 50,000 too. So we sent you an orchid. Of course, I'm always curious to see how, there it is. Thank you. I wanted to see if it was like this big what I ordered or this big. You couldn't tell from the picture on the website. So thank you for sharing that with us. And how did you hear about ACES Connection?
Well, I'm friends with Atia Weiss with the Burke Foundation, and I watched this I used to work at JP Morgan, as did she. I was a banker and helped people with investment issues and philanthropy issues. So I got interested in education, but I watched the Early Childhood Coalition in New Jersey, which was the Burke Foundation, the Turrell Foundation, Nicholas Foundation, and others, sort of searching for how to make an impact. And I saw it from the beginning, where they zeroed in on younger kids and the issues around them. And then what I love is that not only did they find a strategy that has power in the state, because it started with private philanthropists and then you get the state involved, but that there's a national network to be supportive. So there's leverage in all this. Just so you know, what I do is I co-chair a board called Jersey Can, which is Education Policy Advocacy, which was really focused in on public education and making sure all kids have access to great schools that open doors for their future. And it was the inequities and the equity issues that we see in education that caused Jersey Can to form. And so I care about this space broadly, but applaud what New Jersey has done here and applaud that there's a national effort to plug into.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what New Jersey's done, that's for sure. So thank you for telling us about that. And we want to hear a little bit more about the New Jersey Coalition. So Dwana, am I saying your name right? Dwana Young?
You said it just fine. Perfect.
Great.
So congratulations, Anne. I get to see your face. You know, most of the folks on the coalition site I just know from the website. But Anne, congratulations and thank you for being our 50,000th member. That's just awesome. Well, like Anne said, here in New Jersey, I work at the Office of Resilience, which is the first in the US. We have the full backing of our commissioner, Commissioner Beyer, as well as the governor and the first lady's office. So we report directly to them. We are excited to be doing this work. We're excited to be the first in doing this work. We have now people from across the nation calling us saying, hey, what are you guys doing? With the Office of Resilience in the release of your state action plan, which was on February 4th. I am most excited about our meeting next week, I believe, with, oh, her name just left me, in California, the Surgeon General.
Nadine Burke Harris.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. That's what happens when you're on screen. Yes. So
I know.
she reached out to us and say, hey, I heard about you guys. What are you doing? So we are excited to be working with her. We are excited to have the full backing of the Burke and Terrell Foundation and Nicholas Fund, as well as we do this work here in New Jersey. We are positioned to start developing what's called a technical center, the TikTok, which is where we'll be housed and people can come throughout the state to get the resources that they need. It'll be from the community, for the community. It will not be a state-led agency. We are really focused on making everything that we do community-led and driven. And we are engaging our Indigenous community members because they are often left out and not invited to the table, but they are invited to the table so that we can hear their experience as well. So we're just excited about the work that we're doing. Again, it's like something never before because we are working with state and public sectors and legislators and everything, which is unheard of. And so I think Allison wanted me to speak about how I've been growing the community. The secret is share your link every time you can. Share it, share it, share it. Every meeting that I'm in, I drop it in the Zoom chat or whatever platform I'm on. It is embedded in my email so that every email that I sent, it says, hey, connect with us here. And when you ask what did you gain from ACES connection site, or what would you like it to be? For me, in my head, it should be the LinkedIn of ACES services. This is where you should come to get everything that you need to know across the globe for ACES. So I'm going to try to be intentional in building our site to be like the LinkedIn of ACES services. So that only New Jersey folks or people from California, Washington, DC can come and say, hey, what are they doing over here? We can mimic it here. We're not hoarding information here. We're trying to help everybody. We're not working in silos. This is a team effort. And from one of my favorite movies, Drumline, it says, one band, one sound. And that's how we're going to lead this. And that's how we're going to help everybody that we can in terms of ACES. One band, one sound.
Woo. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so powerful. I felt so inspired. I just wanted to show everyone really quickly the New Jersey community, because I know a lot of you here today are community managers. Join their community and just do what Duana does. Just copy, just do what she is doing. It's a beautiful community. I'm going to just show you really quick. So you can see here, if you want to message her and get some advice. There's a great featured post here, and she is just posting all the news. I think, it's so wonderful in New Jersey that there's so much ACES science and ACES initiatives happening, but she is just posting information every single day. You can see, and one thing that they did that's really great is add this disclaimer, which we can help you with for community managers, so that it frees people up to post whatever you want, so let us know if you want one of those. Or
you can copy ours.
Yeah.
Copy and paste works well for us.
And this full rich calendar. And so I just wanted to show everyone really quick. And I really, really, really encourage you all to join this community, because New Jersey is leading by example, just like Duana said. And you don't have to live in New Jersey to join the New Jersey. You don't have to live in California to join a California community. Join their community. They're doing so much, and just follow along for the ride, or join the movement. Okay, I'm turning it back over to you, Jane.
Thanks, Allison. That was great. I'm glad we got that tour. There are about 400 communities now on ACES Connection. Part of this talk by Simon Sinek confirmed what I had thought about, how the ACES movement can reach a tipping point, and we're aiming for about 5,000 communities out of 34,000 cities and counties in the US. We haven't begun to figure out how many communities we want to hit in other parts of the world, but we're hoping that the community managers of the communities in countries outside the US will do that for themselves, and we'll be glad to help on that. So, so with this approach, it's spreading the word on this and getting this so that ACEs eventually becomes like electricity. You know, we only notice it when it's not there, we want this to be so embedded, this knowledge to be so embedded in everything we do, that it does become like that, and we're well on our way. I mean, we have so many good people who are doing this, and so many communities that are making such a difference already. In 2012, when I started ACEs Connection, it was less ACEs Connection, the social network, and more ACEs Too High, the news site for the general public. When I started ACEs Connection, overnight I had 200 members. Thank you to Vincent Folletti, because he just opened up his email list and emailed everybody and said, you know, you all should look into this. And but it took a year, almost a year and a half to reach 1,000 people. And I'll tell you a story about that after we talk to Jim. I was looking everywhere for anything that would lend itself to a story, because I was doing more stories than I was doing, you know, seeing much on ACEs Connection, because there just weren't very many people yet. And I saw this tiny little story in Walla Walla, Washington, about this this principal of an alternative high school who had integrated ACEs science. And I thought, wow, you know, how did that happen? and so I called him. Long story short, I did an article about him and how he developed the plan with his staff, and it's very small staff, you know, a 200 pupil school, and I posted it, and I think I posted it on a Thursday or Friday, and I remember sitting there watching late into the night how many page views it was getting, and suddenly it just zoomed up 10,000 an hour. And I thought, wow, this is really hitting a nerve with a lot of people. And so that was the first round. And I think there were about 350,000 people who read the story and just said, I'm going to give this to all the members of the Board of Supervisors. This is so important. Everybody's got to know about this. And then there was another round of going viral about another year later, I think it was, and about another, there's almost 900,000 page views on that story now. So anyway, Jim and I became friends after that. And Jim, why don't you take it from there?
I'm very grateful to be a part of this, and I got to meet Jane in the very beginning, and she asked me if I'd reminisce a little bit about my journey. And I can remember being at Lincoln, and we were trying to change a culture. It was a very challenging school at that time, and our community champion, Terry Barilla, invited me to a conference. And at that conference, it was the first time I ever had heard about toxic stress and how it impacts the brain. And I really felt that I had built, at that point in time, 26 years of my career as a student-focused teacher and a student-focused administrator. And I believe that my discipline taught kids, that I didn't punish kids. And so I went to this conference and I was able to hear Dr. John Medina as the keynote. And that man turned my life upside down in 90 minutes. So again, first time hearing about toxic stress, how it impacts the brain. He absolutely blew my beliefs that behavior was a choice. And I felt that it was my job to make sure I held kids accountable to that choice. And then he says, it's not the student's fault. And that it just went against everything that I believed. And but what it I never have been able to put this into words. The feeling was so powerful. But what it did to me is it put me in front of a mirror, and I had to look in the mirror and say, Jim, you're punishing kids, and that meant I was hurting them. And that was so overwhelming that I had to get my hands on this new approach, and I was looking for the curriculum, and I was searching everywhere, and it was very frustrating. And if I didn't have Terry Barilla walking with me, she really helped me understand that it was a theory, and then it was okay. So how do we take this theory and put it into practice? But after our first year of implementation, the results that we saw were just overwhelming. They were amazing. And it was because of a committed staff that got behind the movement in our building, the support I had with the community partners. I'll be eternal grateful for that. But it was the fuel that kept the fire burning. And what keeps the fire burning inside me today is kids. Our students, when I quit telling them what they were doing wrong and giving them their consequence and out the door and started asking them what's going on, they started telling me, that drives connection. And I was wondering, my God, how they even make it to school. And so my transformation really was from the kids and their stories. As a staff, we were so committed to creating a culture to help them transform, but what they gave us back, I would never be able to match that. So in learning about that, and then Jane's more than a friend to me. She's a mentor. Jane mentored me through a very difficult time in my life. I was hurting. It was the worst experience I'd ever had gone through, and I actually saw Jane in Sacramento, and her words of encouragement, and there wasn't any judgment there. It was Jim. There's a new chapter. There's something out there. I think you should look at this as a positive. And Jane, I'll never forget that conversation and the healing that started to take place. And so I'm so grateful for that. So thank you. And then I've noticed today, just in the members that are on, the incredible friends that I've met through this journey of mine and the paths that I've crossed. I want to just thank all of you that have touched my life. I think that this transformation that happens, Jane and Dr. Folletti told Jamie Redford to come to Lincoln to look at our schools. So we never planned on having an article go viral. That was overwhelming in itself. 32 countries, I believe it was, Jane. I was getting emails from Russia, China, I got UK, Australia, South Africa. It was crazy. And who would have known a year after that, Jamie Redford shows up, and that's where Paper Tigers happened. And I truly believe, and I just want to honor Jamie in the greatest way. I miss him horribly. I can't, so painful that he's gone, but Jamie left a legacy, and Jamie's I believe through Paper Tigers really opened up the national conversation around trauma-informed practices in schools. And so grateful for that. But the one moment I think that has really impacted me and that continues to drive my transformation, because I believe this journey never ends. I believe the learning never ends. And was when I truly understood the power of one, that the science directs us and shows us that the power of one caring adult relationship, whether we're in a school setting or a social service setting, no matter what setting we're working in, if we can be that one caring adult, that the power of one can change a life path from hopelessness to hope. And once I truly was able to understand that, then it drove everything I did. It drove my leadership, it drove my relationships, and today it drives everything I do now. I'm not a principal of a school. I've been retired for almost 6 years, but when I get in an Uber, I'm seeking a positive interaction with the driver. When I go to a hotel, which I've been grounded now for quite a while, but when I get back out, when I go to a motel or hotel, motel, restaurant, I'm seeking positive interactions with the people that I come into contact with. And I can't tell you how just simple conversation in certain situations has driven relationship. You know, I have an Uber driver in Indianapolis, and when I go to Indianapolis, he's my man. He drives me to the event. He drives me to the airport. We have an incredible relationship. He's teaching me about the discrimination. He's helped me understand the white privilege. I mean, I love Marcus. I mean, the guy is just amazing. And the other, when I go into high schools and I'm able to meet with kids, you know, the story's the same. We got too many kids hurting, and they are seeking connection. And in our traditional environments, we're really driving disconnection. And if we can move through this movement, and there's so many champions out there doing it, with that understanding of the power of one, that it's my connections. And so I always have shared, if we know that one adult can do it, then whether it's our students, our clients, then our conversations through our schools, our agencies should be, how many more positive adults can we wrap around this person? And that just ups the percentage that much more. And so the transformation, like I said, it's still there. For an old man like me, the fire's still hot. It's burning hot. I've had to change my practices, and like all of you, you know, we're in this virtual world. I'm hoping to get out of it. I want to be face to face, and I hope I don't step on any toes, but our kids are hurting too much. That we got to get schools open. We can't quit playing around with these kids' lives and their mental health. They have got to be in school where they can be loved and cared for and taught. You know, we can't teach them about resiliency if we're not in relationship. And so we want to be in relationship. We want to be that person. We want to be the power of one. And so that's been my journey and continues to be my journey. And thank you, Jane, for the opportunity to be a part of this today. And just a huge, huge congratulations.
Thank you, Jim, for participating. It means the world. And thank you so much for all the work you do. It's the countless number of lives that you've touched, and I hope we'll continue to touch once we all get free. Will be amazing. So thank you. I also want to thank a couple other people. Martha Davis, if you would unmute yourself, I'd really just appreciate a few words from you, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Oh, Jane, 50,000. How did that happen?
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, hard work, perseverance. So I met Jane in 2013. There were 800 members on ACES Connection. And, you know, it's been a love affair ever since. And as a funder, you know, you really are an advocate for your grantees. And that's been so easy. And in our last grant to Jane, she had wild and audacious plans to like have 400 communities and to top 30,000. And I went to my most senior leadership and said, I think we should do this. And they said, it just doesn't look reasonable. It just doesn't seem quite doable. I said, well, that might be true for most networks and most organizations, but you don't know Jane Stevens. And so all I can say is I'm so proud to know you. You've been such a friend and such a colleague, and really just congratulations to you and your team, all of you all who I know work so hard and have really built this against some pretty strong odds. And you're up against big odds now to keep this baby afloat. And I have no doubt, I have my full confidence in the growth and expansion and the way that you're touching lives and moving mountains to make this work go. So it really is a game changer, the work that you've done and the connections you've made and the systems that you're changing. So congratulations to you and to all of you on this call. Congratulations for the day in and day out work that really makes this real. And I live in Philly, but I work in New Jersey. So, you know, Philly, New Jersey in the house, congratulations. And we're all watching for next big step. So thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Martha. I have to tell you a little story about Martha and I had been working. I've been helping her a little bit with the first ACES conference, and this was before she went to RWJ. And so we've been doing a lot of work, you know, over the phone. There wasn't so much Zoom then, so when I walked into the room where we were having the conference, I said, "Hi, Martha, I'm Jane." And she looks at me, and the first thing she says is, "I thought you were taller." Which I just thought was hilarious. I said, "Well, I feel tall, but maybe that counts." So what, you're muted. Do you want to say?
You are a larger than life presence. So, you know, to know what you're building, to hear you speak, you're like 6'3". But as it turns out, we're like in the short ladies club.
Exactly, the short ladies. So,
and all these years later, we're now be like short and medium old ladies club.
Right.
That happened too.
And dang it, getting shorter all the time.
It's true.
I know.
In some ways.
So I want to have another segment here because we have about 15 minutes left to call out a few other people that I just happened to see go by as you were joining this call. And we actually, I would, since we only have an hour, I obviously can't have everybody talk about their experiences, but we're going to be asking some questions about, so you can put it in the chat, and we're going to save the chat so we can include this in the article that that Carrie is putting together. But some of the other folks that I saw go by, Chuck Price, if you could unmute yourself. Here's somebody that I've always wanted to do a story about, but I never have had the time or the chance, you know, when things come together. So are you there? There you are. Hi.
I am.
So you've been, it's like you sort of led the way in a lot of the work, and with you and a few of your other colleagues, but you really made the public health department integrate ACEs science in a way that I don't think anybody had before you did it.
Yeah, it was a county in Wisconsin, Waupaca County, right in the smack dab in the middle of the state. So it's a medium-sized county as far as Wisconsin goes, about 53,000. And our Health and Human Service, I was the director of the Health and Human Services Agency. And so we used the ACE science and trauma-informed care to really transform the agency, to change the culture. And I think what a lot of people experience when you dive into this realm, we did it all for the folks that were coming through the door. We're a rural county and wanted to make sure that people were coming to us as a trusted entity. And so we wanted to use the science to help, folks feel trusted to come to our agency. And so we trained everybody from our receptionist to me as director and what is ACEs, what is trauma-informed care. And in doing that, find that, in the helping profession, like 32% of our staff had 4 or more ACEs. So that puts a whole different lens on staff support to be able to do the work every day. And so we had, put a lot of work into changing our culture, but really supporting staff through that, which in turn provided this incredible service back to the folks that we were serving. And it didn't come, easily at times, but it all made sense in terms of how do we want to run a health and human service agency. So it really spoke to me and had tons of support from, at the time, First Lady Walker. Casey Family Programs was really involved in the state at the time. Had a chance to meet Jim for sure early on in our journey, which he's been a great mentor along the way. And I feel like we were just able to, we're lucky enough in terms of time and place to be some trailblazers and let folks know it can be done in that kind of a setting.
It's an amazing story, and one of these days we will. I mean, other folks have told it, but we want to tell it in our way someday. So we'll do that.
Sure.
Dave, thank you, Chuck. Dave Ellis, could you unmute yourself?
Oh, I'm here.
There.
I don't know where I am, but I'm here.
Okay, there you are. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. So I met Dave in Minnesota a long time ago when I was there doing a story about a trauma-informed school there. And so I got to watch him. I got to watch you in action because you did a presentation at that school the same day I did. And then we've been in touch over the years, and it's just so great that New Jersey had the wisdom to ask you to lead the trauma-informed approach in that state. And so if you could tell a little bit about how that came to be.
Well, thank you for that and those kind words. I will say it was not what I had intended. I told someone a while back that I had actually retired from the Minnesota Department of Corrections. And I was supposed to take a right turn out of Chicago and head to Mesa, Arizona. And instead, I somehow took a left and ended up in Somerset, New Jersey. I didn't intend to apply for this, quite honestly. And at the last minute, I threw my hat in the ring, and somehow, fortuitously, I ended up out here. And it has been, for me, a great opportunity both to do the work and to learn. There's so many things. There was so many things that were happening here before I got here. So I don't want anyone to think that, a whole lot of stuff has happened since I got here in July. No, they were already doing this. I just had the good fortune to be the one that ended up in this office, which is kind of unique. It is the only office of its kind. It's the Office of Resilience. We reside in the Department of Children and Families, but we are not a part of a state agency. We actually infiltrate every state agency in the state of New Jersey and are pushing them towards becoming trauma-informed and healing-centered. So that's the work. You may have met some of my other folks here. I know that Dewana Young is on because she handles the VLC in New Jersey, along with Sophia Jaffed. And so, I just quickly thank you, Jane, and it's good to see you.
It's great to see you, Dave. And I hope to see you in person sometime again soon.
Yep.
I know that Judge Lynn Tepper is here. So if you could unmute yourself. I actually have talked with you on the phone a couple of times.
Here we go. I'm on.
Okay, great. One of our writers did an article about Safe Babies Courts. At least that's what it was called then. And so I just wanted to ask you about how you got involved in this and how it's changed what you do.
Thank you very much, Jane. And you are my hero, and you have helped transform our community, and the community gets bigger and bigger. But Dr. Mimi Graham of FSU, who started the early childhood center at Tallahassee, is the one who introduced me. And we started teaching whoever would let us teach to judges, lawyers, stakeholders in the justice system. I should point out I was a judge for 34 years. I retired as a state court judge after 30 years at doing, among other things, child welfare work, criminal work. And I did a lot of teaching. And I also worked with the National Council of Juvenile Family Court Judges, and you know they're very trauma informed. And my court became a model court. So I had meetings 9 times a year with our local stakeholders, so that the stakeholders, the one who were touching people's lives, be it from within the school, within the mental health, within the business community, that they knew what toxic stress was, that they understood the impact of trauma, and to remind them that we needed to stop asking, what did you do wrong? And instead asking, what happened to you? And we would bring in people so that they'd learn about their own services, but we'd have trauma-informed therapists come and teach. We did paper tigers. We did them throughout, of course, our community as well as the state. And we had panels and invited large groups of people to see paper tigers. And we would put on different things like that. And it became part of my court and other courts in my circuit. And we eventually worked up, by the way, in 2018, I got Dr. Vince Folletti to come and teach all of our circuit judges in the state. And I, by the way, would point out we did an anonymous ACE survey and resiliency survey. And the circuit judges in 2018 had higher percentages than the original 17,000. But we had very high scores in resiliency. And whenever I do this with professionals, that's what I always find. It's that resiliency. And so by understanding what a difference that relationship makes, to understand what we should be looking at, our juvenile detention center is so trauma informed, the youth don't want to go home. They love it there, literally. And we've gotten Rotary. The Rotary asked me to go come speak. Foster Parents Associations. The Rotary makes quilts for the kids in the detention center. They're very loving. We have therapy dogs. The community donates stuffed animals and books. But I would also provide information. And because I'd done this for 3 generations, it was like, oh my God, I did. When I'd had the child of the former parent come in and now they were the parent. And I would say, when you were a child, I didn't know then what I know now. I'm so sorry we couldn't have helped you more. And it has such an impact on a parent saying, thank you. Thank you for saying that. And then to watch them, because we all know better now, be able to transform their life and begin to reduce the impact of adverse childhood experiences on them and their children moving forward is phenomenal. It is incredible to find out what, again, that one-on-one what a difference that can make. And who could get burnt out when you see all of this hope, when you see all of this transformation? It is remarkable. I work now, I still do lots of teaching, but I'm trying now to embed this, because we have to go from preventing as well as the deep end, and including prisons. And so I am trying to get my old law school and a local university to embed in their education teaching trauma-informed care, adverse childhood experiences. Because if we don't teach the people who will become the social workers, become the judges, become the lawyers, become the corrections officers, we're going to lose a lot of people that don't need to suffer, in my opinion. Does that begin to tell you where we're going? I mean, we changed how people see the world. We want them to see through a trauma lens. And as we say, it'll never be the same.
Thank you so much for all the work you're doing. It's incredible. Now you all the multiplier effects for sure for all of this. Allison, can we get the everybody back on the screen, because I want to give a I want to make sure I have time for this shout out, because I want to talk with all the little squares, like, you know.
Just go ahead and hover your cursor over the upper right-hand corner and click gallery view.
Oh, okay.
And while everybody's doing that, this is Carrie. We're going to be finished in just a bit, but if you want to, before we get finished, write a little note. What would you love to say to Jane Stevens if you could? Put it in the chat, and thank you.
Well, what I want to do is to thank all the people on my team. I started this on a wing and a prayer, and thought that, you know, I was hoping I would find some people who didn't think I was absolutely too nuts and would risk going along with me. And I have a fabulous group of people. And so I want to make sure that I'm acknowledging everybody. So Allison, you've seen, because she is the moderator here, and I know helping her in the back end is Jenna Quinn. And then our community facilitators are Karen Clemmer, Danielle Prince, Laura Kane, Gail Kennedy, Ingrid Cochran. Our network manager is Rafael Maravilla. The back end folks who do all the magic data pieces are Samantha Sanjanito and Marianne Avari. Who else? Elizabeth, who does our policy analysis and keeps an eye on Washington and some of the state governments for us. Who have I left out? Because I sure don't want to leave out anybody.
Lori Udesky.
Lori, I mean, she's the one who does all the storytelling for us.
And Natalie Ottage, our newest hire.
Right, and who turned me on to that wonderful Simon Sinek so that I could figure out what we do and why we do it. It's you know, I'm really bad at introducing people. I have been known, like when I was married, I would be introducing my husband, I'd forget his name. So pardon me if I do that with all of you. So, but I can't express my gratefulness enough, and how much I love you for all that you do, and how much you put up with me. And when I flail around, I am eternally grateful for all of you sticking by me and buoying me up when I'm down about things, and saying, no, this isn't completely crazy. Let's go ahead and do this. Or, Jane, I don't know about that. Let's talk about it some more. Maybe we shouldn't do it. It's ACE's connection is you. And as ACE's connection is obviously all the 50,000 people who are part of it. I'm so lucky to have gone with my gut on this and have this come out of it, because I think that all we're doing is making sure that this keeps going, and that we keep doing what Jim Sporleder said, which is making a difference and changing people's lives and bringing more light into their lives. And we can do that for the whole world, no doubt. So we have a little time left. Oh, actually, we're almost out of time here. So do you want to, Allison, you're the moderator. What would you like to do?
I think we better go ahead and wrap up. Even though of course we can always, I feel like, fill up even another hour and another hour, especially when we're celebrating.
And also, before you go, Carrie, I just want to say, I wish I could talk. I mean, there's so many friends on here. I mean, people that I've known for such a long time, and I wish I could have talked with all of you. So we'll continue this in another format. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jane. And I met Jane 8 years ago on a phone call. It took 5 years for me to get hired as the Southeastern Regional Community Facilitator for ACES Connection, and it was worth the wait. I want to say thank you to Elizabeth Pruitt, who is Jane's longest friend on this board right now. I also want to call out to Dan Press from our channel partner, the Campaign for Trauma-Informed Policy and Practice, because whew, we've got to get to the legislature. We've got to get this into law, and he is helping us do that. Also, as a person who has been in the addiction and recovery community for 25 years, when Jane wrote the story, it's not the drugs, it's the ACEs, because she interviewed Dr. Dan Sumrock in Memphis, Tennessee. I almost wept because the correlation between drug addiction and any addiction, food, sex, drugs, money, toxic relationships. You know, he just got it. He got it so much. Donna Jackson Nakazawa, you have changed our lives. We love you, your books. Tan Dayton, my very dear friend, longtime friend, thank you so much for being here. Becky Haas, you are changing law enforcement. One police officer who needs a good nap at a time. Put them to bed and give them love, because just like the parents who are abusing their children, they were all little children who might have been hurt as well. Jim Hickman from the Center for Youth Wellness, thank you for taking your time to be with us today as well. James Encinas, who's ridden his bicycle across America once or twice to help raise the profile for ACES science. I can't imagine how much your rear end hurt, but we are so glad you are with us now. So, you know, there's so many people, all of you have played a role, Mary Giuliani, Terry Wellbrock, but all of you, thank you so much. It is like a big family reunion, and we are our chosen family, and it's so dear. So thank you for giving me a minute to do some shout outs. Thank you, Allison.
And Raphael had one thing you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I've had a lot of trouble in my life, and I just wanted to say to Jane and all our my colleagues, thank you for providing me a home. It means a lot.
Thank you, Raphael. I think a lot of us at ACES Connection really feel that way. So thank you, Jane, for giving us the space to do this really powerful work. And thank you for everyone on the call for supporting our work, because we also couldn't do it without all of you. So thank you all for showing up today and helping us celebrate. It just feels like a celebration just has been in order. There's been so much negative news lately. So thank you. Yeah, one last cheers, and then we'll close out. Cheers to all of you. Okay.
All I'm going to say, woohoo! Thank you.
We can actually try that. Let me, everyone unmute yourselves.
Oh,
and on the count of 3, we'll say woohoo. 1, 2,
thank you, Jane.
3.
Woohoo!
Go team.
Ten words on how you felt when you learned about ACES science. Finally understood myself. It changed my life. And Carrie, you can read a couple as well.
Sure thing. Solutions: validated, compassionate, relieved. Wow, validated in terms of needing a more holistic approach to treatment. It was transforming. I was mobilized and ready. It was an aha moment. It was a confirmation. All the pieces fell into place. Mary Giuliani says she felt deshamed. Whew, yes. Chuck Price says it helped me transform an entire human service department. Thank you, Chuck Price. Amanda Coggins says it was generationally healing. Tina Halleck says she felt as if she were not alone. Catherine Campbell named what we have all seen: lives will be saved. Karen Hayden, these make me want to cry. Clarity and why it is not part of the education in any human services pedagogy. She wants to know why it's not. Alarmed about the consequences, says Susan Shaw, but made so much sense. Get a high five on that one. Elizabeth Smith says she felt relief, validation, as if she wasn't alone. She felt hope, inspired. and purpose. Gosh, I can relate. It was scary at first, but when I got the brain science part, it wasn't so scary anymore. Carrie Wellbrock felt validated, excited for the connections and resources, inspirational guests for her podcast. She's excited about this. Yes, Terry, you can mind this call. She has a Healing Place podcast. Maricela Chavez says she finally ACEs being validated and working on moving forward. Elizabeth Pruitt, she was stunned, amazed, enlightened, made common sense. She understood herself and her family. That's huge. Peter Chavetta, thank you so much for being here. ACEs would save this nation. High five on that one. And Diana Couts, I was relieved for myself and became more helpful to others. Emily Reed Daniels loves what Peter said. Yes, you can save this nation. That sounds great.
Like everybody needs to know. All right. Well, the next question is, we have one more, and then we're gonna and then I'm gonna turn it over to Carrie and Jane. And this again is Carrie's wonderful question. 10 words on how you felt upon learning about ACEs Connection.
So finding ACEs Connection, stumbled upon a treasure of resources. I didn't know it was a movement. Mary Giuliani says, I finally have a safe place. Emily Reed Daniels, thrilled that, wow, these are coming so fast, it's hard to keep up. Raymond Lambert, wonderful family. Rumayaya Kudeva, belonging to a bigger than me movement. Amen to that. Jim Sporleder, there would be no paper tigers without Jane. There would be no lots of stuff without Jane. There would be no.
Should that be our first toast?
Yes, I think so. To Jane. There might not be, some of us might not even be alive if it were not for Jane. Gina Pearson says she found grace and accountability in this community. And Clarissa Wentworth says, excited to connect with so many passionate people around the world. And that is so true. Yesterday, we had a call with 2 people from Canada, 1 person from Ireland, and 1 person from Trinidad and Tobago. We are multinational. Hi, Jane. Toast. Don Marlowe says it was like having another family. I know what you mean, Donna. Tian Dayton. Oh, gosh, Tian, thanks for being here. She says she's so glad we're doing this. And Elizabeth says that one person, Jane Stevens, could see what was needed and made it happen. And Elizabeth Perry, hi, Elizabeth. I felt I found my community and I was not doing it alone. Yeah. Donna Jackson Nakazawa is in the house. She says she's so grateful to meet Jane and see her taking this science into the world in a way that changed the world. And Peter Chavetta says the connection gave me the support to push the envelope. Well said.